Okay, next up, the new wave of elite performers. Hang on, let me get this in my hand. Next up, the new wave of elite performers, turning potential into performance. We've got three absolute beauties here. Wen Yu Huang, Laurelle Brown and Luke Martin, guided by one of the most recognisable voices in real estate coaching, the founder of the Real Estate Gym, and that is Tom Panos. This panel is all about what it takes right now to break through. Mindset, volume, discipline, and the daily actions that move you from chasing your first peak to building sustainable momentum. Expect honesty, tactics, and a few uncomfortable truths. Give a massive welcome to our emerging panel, Black Salt 26.
You all good? I love interviewing emerging agents, even more than pinnacle agents, even though it's a hard thing to say because we're about to interview pinnacle agents as well. It's just that my real estate gym was built on me interviewing really successful agents. And what ended up happening is you're talking to all these agents that have been doing real estate for quite a while, yet the audience that's watching those interviews are people that have been doing real estate for less than 3 years. So they're listening to people sort of saying, wow, like, I can't do that. No one knows me. I've got no past clients. No one calls me in for listing presentations, whereas all you three have got into real estate at a time where probably no one knew you in your market. You came from different backgrounds, and you have been incredible in a short period of time. I mean, we've got people sitting in this room. I mean, Laurelle, tell people where you're from, who you are, what you do, firstly.
I'm from Bendigo. I am at PRD Real Estate. I've been in real estate for just over 3 years. No background whatsoever in real estate. A friend suggested that I'd be good at it because she was in the role, and I decided to take the leap, which meant I took a 50% pay cut to do so, which was very scary at the time. And then in my second year, I won Rookie of the Year for our franchise nationally, and love my job.
How many, from January to today, how many sales have you done this year?
74.
Give her a round of applause. Have you got stock to sell in the last few weeks this year?
Yes.
What do you reckon you'll finish the year number of sales?
I'm hoping 81.
Okay, that's an extraordinary effort, and we're going to talk a little bit more about, Laurelle, what you do, because you work in a regional area, and regional markets have got their own unique characteristics. But let's move on and have a quick chat to Wen. Wen, same question, what area do you work? Roughly what sort of numbers do you do, and how long have you been doing it?
So I've been in real estate for about just over 3 years now, so very similar, where I had literally zero experience when I first started. Really, I think we probably started around that COVID period as well. So I think during COVID I had a lot of time to think about it. I used to be a civil engineer for a couple of years. And
so you're an engineer?
Yes.
How many years did you go to uni?
Went for uni for like four
Did you
years.
finish?
Yes, I finished. Yes.
Your parents must be spewing.
Yes, I guess so, but I think,
I can just picture the functions. What's he doing, real estate? Yeah, I know.
I think, I think like a lot of us probably, that was a big jump as well, to leave a career behind. I think for me as well, coming from a small island called Mauritius, I'm not sure if anyone knows about it, but knew nothing about real estate because over there it's very different as well. So when I came here, obviously studied tertiary studies, parent was envisioning me to be obviously becoming that big civil engineer, but during that kind of time, during COVID as well, when things change, you really have things in perspective and think, oh, is that really what I want to do?
What area do you work in?
I work in Box Hill, Blackburn, so Whitehall, which is not too far from here. Obviously, anyone who's local, not too far at all. Good area, very family oriented area as well. So, when I went there, I lived in the southeast, knew nothing about Box Hill, Blackburn. So really had to start from scratch. And this is why I always say to everyone that's joining my team as well, or anyone who's joining the office, if I can do it starting from scratch, anyone can do it pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
give him. Well done, man. How many, can I ask you, your average price is about $1 million?
Yes, so I would say, for the all basic original home, you're probably looking around 1.1, 1.2. For big houses, can go all the way to 3 million.
this year, how many sales you reckon you'll do?
So this year we've around 50, 55 roughly. So for the past few years, actually I've been doubling every single year, but this year got a lot of personal involvement, got married, got, everything. So that's why I kind of took it easy this year in a way. So a couple of months couldn't really do much, but yeah, we're still hitting that $1 million, hopefully at the end of this year.
Well done. Congratulations. So you got married this year?
This year, yes.
Okay.
So,
So hand over the mic. Oh, you got a mic there. So Luke, you're from Perth.
I am from Perth.
Okay. So what suburb in Perth do you do?
So my main area is Edgewater. So it's a suburb north of Perth, City of Joondalup region. There's about 1,700 homes.
Actually, a friend of mine, I think, was going to buy. Is that a really growing up and coming area?
Yeah, it's been in the newspaper a little bit recently.
Yeah. What's your average price there?
So it's, for a house now, it's just gone over $1 million for the first time.
So Luke, what were you doing before real estate?
So I started real estate in 2019. I came into the industry as a PA, and then transitioned into sales in 2020, which I've now been with Jules, the amazing Julie Ormston, who you heard from earlier. So been with Julie since 2020. But prior to that, a degree qualified tax accountant and a professional ballroom dancer.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So
Can I ask you, what is your favourite ballroom dancing song?
There's a lot. Let's go to dance. So probably favourite dance, waltz or foxtrot?
Say it again?
Waltz or foxtrot?
Hey guys, where's the AV? Is AV here?
There's really not a lot of room here, Tom.
Where's the AV desk? Where? Okay. Can you get that song up? Can you say it nice and slow? I'm just going to listen. I've learned one thing in life. If there's an opportunity, you take it. If you're walking through a property and you see carpet on the toilet, take a photo of it. It's going to go viral, right? Opportunities, what people are looking for, there's constant opportunities. So just get that song up there. Ballroom, you've got to do it with another person.
I do. So luckily, my amazing fiance, who's also my dance partner, is here today as well.
She's here?
She's here.
Where is she?
She's at the back somewhere. She's waving.
There? Okay, start stretching. Okay. Alrighty, let's get back to this. So I want to ask you now. Let's go with Laurelle. Regional markets, and I know because I spent a fair bit of time in Byron, and that's a regional market, small country town, not in Christmas, but the rest of the time it is. What's the number one behaviour you've doubled down in your marketplace to get people to sort of, you're a new face and you want to get known really, really fast? Is there something you've done?
I'm very lucky in that the office that I work for takes care of all of our social media needs. We have our own social media team and branding, and it's a very well-branded office, so that does help because people are seeing you on buses, social media, we have community engagement, lots of different things that we do. So having your face familiar to people builds trust. For me personally, I think just being, a lot of people have said it here today, really authentic, really honest and genuinely caring about people and just finding out the details. So children's names, pets' names that you then refer to in later conversations holds a lot of weight with people. It really does.
Beautiful. I have to say, I think we've got to accept the world that we live in now, where everyone's been constantly looking for leads. I think we now live in a world where you shouldn't be looking for seller leads. You should be looking at shaping sellers' mindsets. You don't get 10 listings a month because you're better at the table. You get 10 listings a month because you're better before the table even appears. Think about that concept for a moment, right? And that's the world that we're living in. These phone companies are making calls hard to screen now, like you get through, they won't answer. calling cold. So all of a sudden, being famous matters more than ever. Being people knowing you before they need you is more important than any other time. I want to ask you, Ren, in your area, that area market, I know because Leader Newspapers was in that area and I used to talk to a lot of the officers. It's very competitive. Lots of agents, lots of noise, lots of everything. What's the tactic that you've used that cuts through the noise and actually gets you into appraisals, gets you into doors?
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's a very established kind of area where, competing maybe with agents that's been there for like 20, 30, I think I've seen agents that's been doing that for 40 odd years as well. So I think my different approach is to obviously, bring a breath of fresh air, I would say, a bit more, especially I think since COVID as well, we all had to adapt to new technology as well, so kind of use that to our advantage, being a little bit younger in that domain, I would say. Now, the other thing as well, I think at the end of the day, I think it's been mentioned multiple times, we're not going to reinvent the wheel as well. I think it's all about hard work, right? Where agents has been there for 20, 30 odd years, they're not going to do what we're doing as well when we first start. So the door knocking, all of that, letter dropping, because for example, I just saw the property over the weekend and I had a vendor testimonial that they say, I've known them for 4 years. What they appreciated the most was the fact that I was out there, door knocking, keeping in touch, giving them the right advice at the right time, not just pushing them to sell, but also kind of building that relationship and being a friend more than really being an agent, I would say.
Yeah, Ren, I actually think that door knocking is going to be a significant outreach strategy in 2026 as telephone to the cold have-not-mets are becoming more and more challenging. In fact, Leonidas, who's an extraordinary agent, Manos and Maria have got him speaking at an event tomorrow. He's speaking, and he does that. He has built his whole business going in and going belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball with people through the door knocking system, something that's been going for many, many years. So I want to ask the same question. Well, no, to you, Luke, your marketplace has got a lot of big brands there, a lot of big brands that where you are. What do you do to get the attention, to stop people from keep scrolling, to get the attention and stop at you and say, man, this guy's different?
So I think, Tom, when I started working in my core area, we had very established agents in that space that had been there for 20 plus years. And the two dominant agents probably had 25%, maybe 30% market share each. So it was a big chunk of the market. Now, I was the new kid on the block. I was also probably at least 30 years younger than everybody else at the time. Now, those two competitors are no longer really in the marketplace. One is retired and one is basically gone, more or less missing in action. But the thing that they weren't doing that I saw as an opportunity was social media and professional video. So I'd make sure I was always very aware I had to do something different. So yes, I did the door knocking, I reached out, got belly to belly, but in addition to that, just made sure that I was promoting the results, not in an ego-driven way, but in, again, providing information. But my big signature piece, I guess, that I've done now for the last 4 to 5 years is a weekly market update. I just film it from my car. It goes out to the whole suburb. I put money behind it on socials, but it also goes in my email newsletter each week. And it's amazing how many people I meet now. They don't like or react or share or any of that online, but when I go through the lounge rooms now, how impactful that's been to my business. So, I always get now.
So can I say, you just get your mobile phone, you put it in a cradle in your car?
Yeah, I've just
or
got
do you
like
hold it with your hands? Or?
Yeah, no, I rest it against the steering wheel because it's really, really raw. But I've got now I've upgraded, you see. So I've got a little lapel mic that I use, so the audio quality is a little bit better now as well. And then that's it. I just talk about how many properties have come to market in my core area each week. Not just mine, just the whole market. How many went under offer, how many were sold, anything that we've got coming up, any insights into the market just generally. And I put money behind that on social, and that's been really effective.
Big tip, everyone. Every time you do an appraisal, make sure you get that vendor added onto your social media. Your social media is in fact part of your nurture strategy. A lot of people just think, oh, I've got their email, I've got their mobile. The reality is that most people are using social media as the way that they're communicating. I got off the aeroplane, I flew within Virgin, and there was like a lot of, you don't get automatic Wi-Fi, and I look at people, the minute the plane lands, they don't go to their SMSs, they don't go to their emails, they go to their social media. So it makes sense that if you are doing an appraisals and they are not an immediate seller and it is a price update, you want to stay in contact with them, you get them onto your social media. I want to ask, like from a prospecting point of view, like if you had to have a rough guess, Laurel, how many questions, how many conversations do you reckon you have in a week with prospective sellers?
I'm probably...
That Mike? No.
Yeah.
Go.
I'm probably not really good at knowing the exact numbers, probably because the longer you're in real estate, I feel like it's incidental prospecting. So instead of trying to find opportunities, I'm more exhausting opportunities. So obviously doing 74 sales this year, I've had a lot of interaction with vendors and buyers and family members, and it's about exhausting the opportunity on every conversation to make sure you're not missing any leads.
Good. I think that agents should ask 1 to 2 more questions further in a conversation with people. I think a lot of the times that conversation could go a little bit deeper and an opportunity comes from it. Example, someone rings up and says, oh, you sold the place on Kingston Street. You know, agents say, oh yeah, that's sold for 1.7, and they say, oh yeah, what was it like, this and that. I think really good agents then go the next mile and they start being a detective.
We talk about this all the time in our training sessions, and about asking, who do you know who's thinking of selling? When are you thinking of selling? And any buyer inquiry, or even if the home's under offer, just talking about what their situation is and bringing it back to them and seeing if there's a lead there.
Write this question down. Every buyer inquiry you have, at the end of it, if it feels right, just ask this. Are you calling because you're looking to buy, or you're comparing it to something you've got? You can't lose with that question. Because I've got to tell you, there's a lot of phone calls that are coming in left, right and centre on a day-to-day basis, and what they're doing is due diligence on the marketplace, and it's our job to take that call and actually work out what is it. Is it a buyer? Is it a seller? Is it a renter? Is it an investor? I want to ask you, Ren, like, do you prospect, and what does your prospecting look like?
Yes, so obviously I do prospect.
Just Mike.
Yep. So I do prospect, but I think obviously the busier you get, the least time you will have obviously to do the core basics sometimes. But I think what I've kind of looked at in the past, I would say couple of months as well, where to improve, I think it's definitely going back to basics. So whatever we know, just do a bit more of it.
I mean, walk me through last week. What did you actually do to generate business in the last week or two?
So, for example, last week, obviously coming to the tail end of the year, we're already working toward next year, for example. So what we're doing is, really just, as I mentioned earlier, really create that relationship with owners, not purposely just calling for the sake of, hey, are you selling next year? But giving them some update, hey, with the new reform, whatever is coming through, what could that impact for them? And always found out a little bit more in terms of their long-term plan as well, whether then selling next year would help them or not. So I try not to really say just sell next year, but understand their situation and give them the right advice based on that and based on the current market situation, whether that will help them or not. So I think prospecting wise, ideally, I try to hit a certain number, but obviously as Laurelle mentioned, in the car, whenever a phone call comes in, it's always prospecting as well. So as much as possible, just keep yourself on the phone.
I actually put it up on Instagram yesterday. I think, and I remember back to the days when I was listing, I never used to ask people, what are you hoping to get? What I used to say to them is, I'm just curious, what would be a life-changing result for you, and why is that target important? That question would open up really what they're doing and why is it important. And I wouldn't become hell-bent on this number. What I wanted to do is to find out what's the big headache that they've got and what's the Panadol to that headache, right? Whereas a lot of people think, oh, that's that number. And by the way, this question, I gave it to a guy outside. He said to me, can you say it again? This is a top question to ask at a listing presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what do you have to hear or see today to feel confident to move forward? And just shut up. I want to ask you, you're prospecting, you getting into doors, because in Perth, man, listen, they're selling, you just put them up on WhatsApp, they're being sold. The buyer agents from Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane are snapping those properties up. There is no, they're being sold. Days on market is like hours.
6 days.
6 days.
Yeah, on average across the whole year.
Man, I remember coming to Perth for the last 15 years, up until COVID. All they wanted to hear was, can we have scripts to get the prices down? That's all that they cared about for 15 years. What do you do to get into doors?
So I think, Tom, when I started, obviously in the industry, for anyone starting out in their journey now, I door knocked around everyone else's listings. So I was really big on that. So I didn't have any of my own listings. I just leveraged everyone else's. And then I bought the wash list of data and just called through that. So my target was 30 a day. Now, having been in that space for the last 5 years, my prospecting is more nurturing. So I really treat it as that now. So I'm just reaching out. There's always with a reason. I tend to move a little bit more because of time management now to text versus phone call, and then work on the rebound on the back of that. So that's a big one. And then really maximising the home open lists. So I'm big on that. So 30% of my business now comes from repeat and referral business. And then the next chunk is 20%, and that's from home open attendees.
Do you reckon the opportunity comes when you're at the open or on the phone call when you call them?
I think you sow the seed at the home open. I think how you present to the marketplace, people are always judging. So I think that's a big part of it. And that also comes back to, I guess, the layering approach, right? So the social media post they might see, the letterbox drop they might see, the invite to the neighbours, that brings them in the first place. But then that's your shop front. So that's the start of that relationship, I guess. And then the follow-up on the back of the home open just to see where they're at in their own property plans and how we can best help them going forward. In Perth, because the supply is so tight right now, it's probably more about helping them understand what their options are. I think that opens up a lot of really good conversations and opportunities rather than just, are you looking to sell?
2 questions to ask at an open home that can give you listings. Question 1, did you travel far to get here today? That's telling you, are they in your market? Did you travel far to get here today? Question number 2, are you buying or just comparing it to your place, right? And I think you are right. At that open, you've worked out PV, potential vendor, then you've got it written down, so when you've got those other 35 names, that name's sticking out and you know that is that person there, that is a potential listing. I want to talk about deals, getting deals done, right? Because we know that the best of the best they're not order takers, they're deal makers, and they're one step ahead of the buyer and seller at all times. So normally the best negotiators have already got what the vendor or buyer think one step ahead. They're playing chess. Good negotiators are playing chess. They're not playing checkers. Give me, to either of you, is there any dialogue that you're using right now that is helping you win business? And I don't care in any aspect of business. Is there anything that you want to share?
Probably in my listing presentations, I don't necessarily focus on price. I give them a price, an estimate, but I'm big on saying to potential vendors that I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't get for your home. I'm here to walk you through a process and strategy that will uncover price in the market or test price for you. And people like that because some people have a figure in mind that's quite high and I don't want to tell them they can't get that because sometimes you can. So I go through a process and strategy that our office uses, that we test price in the market and see if that works, and have that relationship with the vendor that then, if it's not, we adjust.
What's the average days on market in Bendigo?
Mine at the moment is about 35. I think mine's 28, sorry. I think the average days on market is 41.
41. Okay. Ren, is there anything that you want to share? Like everyone's just they love gems. They love things that you can say and they then write it out. Is there something that you can share?
I think I've said that plenty of time, even in my office. I think, reiterating what she mentioned as well, it's not always about, I guess, a price. It's always about knowing what they want to do with the sale, right? Is it to move somewhere else? What's the motivation behind it? And making sure you give them confidence. I think it's always about confidence to say, obviously there's so many of agents to choose out there. Why should they go with you and why should they do it now? It's more about, regardless or irrelevant of the price, obviously if you're looking to buy and sell in the same market, I tell them it makes no difference whatsoever. You get $100,000 more now, that means you're going to pay $100,000 more in a similar market. So I think it's more about giving them confidence to say, yes, this is maybe the time for you to do it, or simply I'm happy to even tell them, if that's what your plan is, maybe now is not the right time. So I'm happy to tell them the truth rather than just say, yep, tell them what they want to hear just for the sake of it. Because eventually when that happens and, obviously they say, oh, when you told us this and that and nothing is happening, I think it's always better just to tell them the truth, pretty much.
Yeah. So this morning I was doing some training with White Fox, actually not in person. I was at the airport with Alana, who's coming on next. And I was just explained, like Marty asked me, he said, Tom, what do you think the single one reason is that why a lot of the agents struggle telling an owner that you're not going to get that price, and they don't sit there and educate a vendor over the 4-6 weeks? And I think the main reason is that there's a price that's been given to them at the listing presentation that they're too cowardly to look them in the eyes and sort of accept that they either misled them, gave them the wrong number, and they can't look at them and say, hey, your price is incorrect, because basically what they're saying is I'm incorrect. So to me, vendor management is all about how you position your price at the presentation if you are using price. Is there anything you can add at all?
So I agree, firstly, but probably the thing I could add to that, my closing sequence, I think is really powerful. So rather than just going to the seller after the presentation's finished and say, this is what I charge, which I think probably a lot of people fall into the trap of that, we've got a spreadsheet that we update every quarter, and it shows how many properties we've sold, like the actual list, every street address, what the first price was for the first offer that came in, the final result, and then the difference highlighted in terms of dollar value percentage. So we work through that list. Then obviously, like the number at the bottom at the moment is like a $40,000 gap on average across 50 odd sales, and 4% as a percentage. So then when you get to presenting the actual success fee, that's a lot easier to get across the line because you demonstrated value first.
Listen, at the end of the day, you want to make more money, you show more value. They don't want a commodity, they want a value-added provider. In real estate, we do not get paid for time. We get paid for the value that we give in that time. That's what we get paid for. I'm still hell-bent. You reckon you're going to... Did you get that, AV? Have you got that song? No?
Thanks, AV.
Can you try harder? Sweetie, can you tell them the song?
Tom,
Yeah.
I've got a couple of Foxtrot songs.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Okay,
That's
all right,
it.
great.
Now, one more question before we go. I want to ask you, what's been the biggest, Luke, this year, what's been the biggest challenge?
So in the Perth market, listing volumes just bottomed out. So I was, first 6 months of this year, I sold 28 homes probably in 5 months because it didn't really work a lot in January. And since then, I've sold 15 in the second half. So it's been a really, really noticeable drop. I was on a massive momentum high, best 6 months of my career to date, and then just felt like momentum just disappeared all of a sudden. So going forward, and that's on the back of the listings going from 5,000 across Perth down to about 2,000 at the moment. So going forward, I have to expand my business service area a little bit, do a little bit more peripheral work, and then just make sure we're milking every single opportunity as much as we can. Because again, home open attendees, you find sellers through other home opens. If you're not doing the home opens because volume's dropped, you're also not getting into as many doors. It's got a knock-on effect of prospecting side as well.
Beautiful. Biggest challenge this year?
I think for me, it's probably been a bit more recent as well. I mean, probably two. One was obviously when I took a bit of time away. I think to be a lot more time efficient, time management, being organized is the main thing that I've learned a lot more this year. Because obviously, not being, I would say, full on in there, I needed to make sure everything was running perfectly so that people don't forget me as well. And the next one, I think recently, the market in Melbourne has seen a lot of supply. Obviously, a lot of things has happened as well. So it's more about, as I'm educating maybe the vendors to say, hey, how do we get to that price now? But one of the strengths, as I mentioned, if I've always been truthful to them and do the right thing, I know eventually the owners are more willing to listen.
Perfect. Same question there.
I'm probably going to need some space, so I'm just coming over
Yeah.
For me personally, it's probably been consistency. I think I mentioned it earlier, just the real estate roller coaster of listing lots, then selling lots and going from one to the other instead of trying to keep both things happening at once. The back of the year's been better for me in that respect because I've always had properties coming up. Next week that one's going live, next week that one's going live, and it just feels so much better to know that consistency and things are coming on. It does get a bit stressful when you think, oh, I'm selling nothing, and then you think, oh, I'm listing nothing. Yeah, so.
Well, I've got to say, I'm looking at, you came from finance, right? You've come from engineering. You're a, degree qualified tax accountant. You see real estate, the whole landscape is changing versus 20, 30 years ago. And what's also changing is we've essentially got three people here that are making, you're making pretty much, based on your numbers, you're probably making more than Anthony Albanese, right? And we're not talking about, we're talking about in the first, we're not talking about someone in 20 years, 30 years, we're talking about in the first 2 years, right? So that's extraordinary. So I want, where's your fiance? Where is she?
Is she still at the back? Oh, she's there.
Come on up.
Okay.
Okay, I want to see this. I got to tell you, as someone that talks to real estate agents every day, I'm always looking at things that are a little bit different. So we're going to get you to come up there. I know I'm putting you all on the spot. I'm hoping that this all works out, but I just want to.
This is the dance studio here, Tom.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Yeah. Jump across. Okay.
The dance studio's
That's
here.
okay. That's okay.
This is the dance studio.
While you're setting up there, I want to ask you two final questions. You know what, team? You know what I like about this conference? It's done by real estate people for real estate people. And as far as I'm concerned, as soon as the world and Australia knows that all we are is like them, we're just like them. It's just that our job is real estate, but we are like them. We do dancing, we go to sport, we bath kids, we argue at home, we go to Woolies and Coles. That's our life, but a lot of people got this perception that we're all wankers, right? Because a small cohort of people can't help themselves and have to hashtag everything between every phone call. Like, do you actually see a dentist finish a patient? Oh, I'm just going to quickly go on a Snapchat for a quick second, right? Right? They don't do that. They just do the damn work. Alrighty, let's go, let's do it. Hey, I'll be honest, dancing brought you together, didn't it? That's how you met. I could tell. That's the energy's there. I sound like I'm an expert dancer.
Tom's on Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing
now,
with the
Dancing with
Stars.
Tom Panos.
Anyway, team, Give them a big round of applause. Amazing, our emerging panel. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Red.
Well done.
Thank you.